stories. I guess we all have to mark the page and close the book one day. This one's for you, Dad. They all are, really. End of the liner. Introduction. In 2021, my family and I went on a cruise for the very first time. This was during the pandemic, so it was a staycation cruise. It only lasted 4 days, and the ship never left British waters. But it was fun and very family-friendly. It was bound to be. It was organised by the major operator in the family entertainment market. Think Mouse. One day, while Betty was in the pool and Neil and I were on deck, sipping iced cocktails, conversation turned to the pandemic, space programmes, and the apocalypse. As it does. We stared out over the expanse of water, and I remember Neil saying, if a virus really obliterated the world, you wouldn't need to send people into space. Just stick them all on giant cruise ships. The comment and the idea stuck. One of the reasons I love theme parks is because they tread a fine line between magical and creepy, especially if they're abandoned or run down. Anyone who has seen Donnie Darko will know that there's something quite sinister about someone dressed up in a big furry animal costume. And while everything being shiny and magical is nice for a week or two, would you really want to live like that for the rest of your life? Wouldn't it perhaps feel a tad authoritarian? Especially if you were in the middle of the ocean, with no way to escape. It was with those ideas in mind that I sat down to write End of the Liner. I hope you enjoy the magic. All aboard now.
She often dreamed of drowning. In the empty hours between midnight and dawn, she lay in her narrow bunk and imagined the waves taking her. It would be cold. And if she was lucky, the freezing temperatures would claim her before the dark water invaded her mouth and lungs. Or, if she was even luckier, perhaps the sea god would be merciful. She wondered if she could request a winter ceremony. She wondered how it had been for the others, and when it would be her turn. Not today. Today she had a packed schedule of breakfast, followed by aqua aerobics on the main deck. Then an hour or so in the shade reading. Perhaps she might stroll around the ship before lunch. In the afternoon, the crew often tried to provide entertainment, although the theatres were looking a little tired these days. No amount of clever lighting could disguise the fact that the paint on the elaborate sets was peeling, and the velvet upholstery on the seats was faded and patched. People tried not to notice, and for many it had been that way for all their lives. But she remembered. And occasionally she felt a yearning for the old days, for a time when this existence was a privileged luxury rather than a slow torture. She glanced at the photograph she kept on her tiny dresser, one of her and Nick when they boarded with her parents. She looked so young, with her new husband. And they were young, she supposed. She was 25, and Nick was only 2 years older. They had hardly lived, really. Barely built up a bank of experiences before they boarded the ship, and their lives shrank to these decks and corridors. The other picture she looked at less often, because even a short glance drew fresh pain. Sometimes she wondered why she kept it at all. Certainly it did her no favours with the creators. Those who were lost were never spoken of, nor commemorated. Keeping mementos was frowned upon. But it was the one thing Layla couldn't let go of. Her daughter, Addison. This was the last photo ever taken of her little girl, on the verge of becoming a young woman, celebrating her 18th birthday. Dark hair falling over her face, a wide grin, blue eyes glinting with mischief and rebellion. Too much rebellion, perhaps. Maybe Layla should have been sterner. Maybe she should have encouraged her willfulness less. When Nick had tried to cajole Addison into partaking in traditional female pursuits, such as sewing and cookery, perhaps she should have backed him up rather than supporting Addison's decision to enroll in maintenance and engineering. Regrets. Mistakes. No life lived long is short of them.